Humiliation is a visual medium is the 13th episode of the third season of 2.5 Men. This is directed by Rob Schiller, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. And it's a really strong episode. We have some really great character progression for Charlie, and it starts off with Charlie and Mia about to be intimate, but then Mia stops them and says that they need to talk about their relationship, and she wants to know how serious they're being and whether they should take things more slowly. And she makes Charlie make the decision, who agrees or decides that maybe they should slow things down. The following morning, Charlie is in the kitchen. He is very happy. And we have Alan, Jake, and Berta there, all very confused about why Charlie is this happy. And he declares that last night I, Charlie Harper, had a notification. And he explains that he thinks he might be in love with Mia. And even with that explanation, everybody else is giving him that very confused. Evelyn comes over. She doesn't believe it. And he explains the situation. And once he's out of the room, Berta says what everybody else is thinking. And that's, I give him another week before he's out on the beach humping wet sand. Basically, nobody believes that Charlie could abstain from sex to be with Mia. And we have this delightful montage of Charlie and Mia spending time together outdoors, going to art galleries, going bowling, generally getting to know each other. But there are a lot of sexual references to the point where it's all Charlie can see. And he ends up asking Alan for advice because Alan has to go a long time without sex, and he basically gives him some advice, and Charlie kind of takes things a bit too far. And I will say, when Charlie said what he said next to Mia, I did think, what an idiot. Because he asks Mia if he can have, as he describes it, an outlet. And we had such beautiful character development for Charlie up until this point. It seemed like he had really matured, we'd turned a corner with him, and then he says this, and he's basically asking Mia if he can have some meaningless, casual sex with a random woman or women while he's waiting for that part of his relationship with Mia to develop, which is a ridiculous question to ask. But to his credit, he did realise quite quickly that it was the wrong thing to say. He's out on the deck later on, he is miserable, and he asks Alan, quite sensibly, how do I apologise? And I like that. I like the fact that, yes, we do get this progression with Charlie, and as soon as he says something wrong, as soon as something goes wrong because of his fault, he hasn't just reverted back to who he was. He hasn't thrown in the towel. Those feelings he had for Mia are still there, and that makes it seem more genuine, and I really like that. But Alan explains to him that he's going to have to grovel and also be sincere, or at least fake being sincere. And the next thing we see is Charlie bringing Mia flowers. And Mia, to her credit, had some time to think about things, and she also apologised for kind of the way she reacted to the situation, but at the same time, I don't actually think she did anything wrong at this point. Because Charlie said he was happy to agree with it. If Charlie had expressed his doubts to begin with, and she wasn't considerate of his feelings, that would have been a different situation. But because she had asked him about the situation and asked him to make a decision, she never really had any unrealistic expectations at that point. So I don't actually think she had anything to apologise for, but at the same time, I feel like it was a very mature thing to do, nevertheless. And she tells Charlie she wants a commitment. And this might be the bit where things were a little bit unreasonable, at least within the way things were worded. She was basically asking him, and Charlie summed up, that she wanted him to commit to be the only person he has sex with, but they're not going to have sex still. So they're sexually exclusive without the sex, as Charlie sums up. And I think at that point, that was maybe being a little bit unrealistic. And Charlie leaves, she throws the flowers at him, and Charlie's parting line I thought was fabulous. He says, "See, that's why you didn't get a waffle iron," which out of context probably would have sounded like an exceptionally bizarre statement, and this is because Alan had told Charlie, don't give them something that will hurt if they throw it at your head. And of course, the flowers would have hurt significantly less than a waffle iron. It does seem like at this moment the relationship is over, so Charlie tries to drown his sorrows in Kandi. This is April Bowlby's character. She was in this a couple of episodes ago, but IMDb credited her with a different name. And her name wasn't mentioned in this episode, I don't think, but she's now credited on IMDb as Kandi. So it's not 100% clear whether she's meant to be the same character as the character from a few episodes ago, or if she is a different character since she has a different name. I don't know. I don't think it really matters, to be perfectly honest. But either way, she is now called Kandi. And then Mia comes over. Alan answers the door, but Charlie sees this and he is so desperate to rush to Mia that he runs into the door, the glass door, which was pretty funny. And my thought was, how is he going to get out of this? And then he had a clever idea by trying to pretend that this was Alan's girlfriend, and Alan was a little slow on the uptake, so didn't really go along with it. But thankfully things are not that bad between Mia and Charlie, and they both have a nice enough conversation. They both agree to make the commitment, and then they're going to go upstairs to bed. And then Charlie actually says, no, it needs to be special for the first time, which again, I think helped to show some more maturity and some character progression, because Charlie of the previous seasons would not have had that response. And then we finish with Alan showing Kandi his boobs after she showed him hers. So it was an interesting episode, definitely a roller coaster. I feel like at no point throughout this was it clear where this episode would end up, and it's definitely, I think, very, very well done. We have some very funny moments, but as I said, for me, the biggest takeaway is the character development we get with Charlie. Now, that's not to say he will never regress. That's not to say that this is now who Charlie is, but I think it works very well within the context of the episode. Humiliation is a visual medium. It's definitely an enjoyable episode, and I think with a nice balance of comedy with some more meaningful moments, and ultimately, I really like it.